Blessings and namaste, everyone. I'm spiritualist, psychic, astrologer, and medium Sette. Thank you for sharing this time with me as I share with you my insights into the astrological and spiritual possibilities for April 2019. I'd like to begin by just touching upon that we are out of a Mercury retrograde. Mercury did move direct on March 28th. And what I always emphasize to recognize is that not until Mercury moves past what we refer to as the shadow point, which is the exact position where it moved retrograde, are we not completely out of those retrograde influences. And that point will take place on April 16th. So just kind of keep all of that in the back of your mind. As I said, this Mercury retrograde period was very much a time of releasing deep-seated emotional conditions, matters which no longer serve a purpose for us any longer. You know, many times we are being given an opportunity to reflect upon something from our past that many times is very, very sensitive. However, whenever those elements bubble to the surface, they are opportunities for us to release those conditions so that we can clear, cleanse, and move forward. And speaking of clearing and cleansing, on April 1st, we begin the balsamic moon phase, and as I've said in the past, that begins the opportunity for us to prepare for the next new moon cycle, which is on April 5th. The balsamic moon is on April 1st. The exact time of that is 3:13 a.m. and that will be Eastern Daylight Time. As I said, it prepares us for the coming lunar cycle. It's a time to cleanse, clear, purge, and release anything which may interfere with us adequately embracing all the opportunities that are being presented at the time of the new moon. Now, our new moon as well as full moon in April, those are trigger points for the eclipse season, which took place in January, as well as the coming eclipse season, which will be taking place in July. Remember, an eclipse is neither negative or positive in and of itself. It's all dependent upon whatever energies we are setting in motion up until that point that will ultimately define what will really come to form at that moment. And it's just like any other planetary alignment or phenomenon. In and of itself, they're not negative or positive, bad or good. More so, they're not necessarily bad or good. However, they are negative or positive, and they're just different frequencies of a vibration. Just like a battery has a negative and a positive charge, neither one is good or bad in and of itself. It's just what is required for a certain element to operate and function properly. So whatever we are concentrating, whatever energies, wherever we are directing our mind at during a certain planetary phenomenon, that's what we're going to bring to form, either the negative or the positive of that alignment. And certainly I'm keeping these explanations very, very simple. Sometimes there are many other factors that we have to really contribute to the situation. However, I'm just offering you a point of reference to consider. Excuse me. So, our next new moon is on April 5th. Now, that new moon is in the sign of Aries, and it's actually at the midpoint. It's at the 15-degree point of Aries. All astrological signs are measured in degrees and minutes. A complete astrological sign is 30 degrees, so 15 is right in the middle of that sign, and those midpoints are prominent and significant points where the energies of, or rather the potential of that element is very, very much concentrated and characterized. And with Aries, the challenge with Aries is that the Aries energies it initiates. It begins, because it's the beginning of the astrological cycle. It begins a new cycle of experience. However, the challenge with Aries is that Aries needs to be very aware to follow through with whatever it is that we are initiating. So if you are having any challenges following through at this time with anything that you have set in motion, see and use the balsamic moon period as a time to release those conditions and be aware of any interferences that are not allowing you to follow through with your intentions and with whatever it is that you desire. And on the new moon, embrace the element of knowing and being very aware of following through, as well as having the courage to follow through with whatever you set in motion. You know, many times when we don't necessarily follow through with something that we've set in motion, there might be the condition of not embracing success, not allowing us to fully really embrace all that we desire. That doesn't allow us to really get to that point where we've achieved what we have set in motion. So perhaps if there are any conditions where there's a fear of success or accomplishment or achievement, let all that go, especially at the balsamic moon. Cleanse that away. Allow yourself to receive all the blessings of all the intentions that you have set in motion. Aries is a fire sign. It's ruled by the planet Mars. The fire signs do contain creativity. Aries not so much as Leo and Sagittarius. However, it does initiate the creative process, and I will touch upon something else in a little bit regarding creativity. So at this new moon on April 5th, allow yourself to really instill and infuse the courage to follow through with everything that you have set in motion. You know, and as I said, you know, during the course of the month, we touch upon and we experience many alignments, sometimes thousands, sometimes even in a given day. However, I'm touching upon that which I feel is the most prominent, and I'm also suggesting to recognize that I'm offering pretty much a generalization of all of this, and in order for us to fully recognize how we can embrace it on a personal level, you really have to look to see the placements in your exact personal chart. But this is just giving you a starting point for you to really recognize what you can do on your own to embrace these wonderful energies that are always present and very much being shared with us from Spirit on any given day. Speaking of Mars, which is the ruler of Aries, Mars moves into the sign of Gemini, actually at the end of March, on March 31st. Wherever Mars touches, wherever Mars transits through our chart, it energizes, because Mars is the planet of energy. It will energize a certain area of the astrological composition. Mars in Gemini, it fortifies writing, communication, creative writing, journaling. So if these are experiences that you would like to embark upon for yourself, use this time period to do so. And maybe on the new moon, because Mars will be in Gemini at the time of the new moon, and it's actually in the new moon chart, Mars is in the third house, which is the Gemini house, the house of writing. It's fortifying and stimulating creative endeavors towards writing, communication, writing projects, publishing. Use this time as well, this new moon, as well, to perhaps begin some new writing projects if you've desired that for yourself as well, or any public speaking matters that perhaps you would like to pursue. It's a great time to do that on the new moon as well. Now, on April 10th, as I referred to just a few moments ago, regarding creativity and heightened levels of creativity. Once a year, the inner planets, which are Mars, I had to think a minute, Mars, Venus, and Mercury, as well as the Sun, will at least once a year connect with one of the outer planets. Now, on April 10th, Venus and Neptune come together in what we refer to as a conjunction, which is a new moon alignment. It's when two elements come together and occupy the same measurement of space along the astrological line. Venus and Neptune, the significance with Venus and Neptune, Neptune is considered the higher octave of Venus. All the planets have a higher octave. For example, the higher octave of Mercury is Uranus, the higher octave of Venus is Neptune, and the higher octave of Mars is Pluto. But right now we're connecting, or I'm touching upon Venus and Neptune. That exact alignment conjunction coming together is on April 10th, and that is at 2:12 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That's a PowerPoint to fuel creativity, especially channeling information which comes through from the spirit realm. Neptune, whenever there's a prominent Neptune in someone's chart, the individual does demonstrate genius levels of creativity, especially with art and music. And I always emphasize that creativity is not limited to art and music. Creativity is infinite. It's multifaceted. So perhaps if you are endeavoring towards creative projects, if you feel as though you need to stimulate the creative element within yourself, use that alignment as a beginning process to fortify the energy of creativity. And because it's in the sign of Pisces, that's the sign that connects us with the spirit realm. All creativity, all inspiration comes through to us from the spirit realm. This alignment also does fortify the psychic faculties. We're all becoming very, very psychically sensitive to all that is happening around us. At that time, we also have to be very careful not to allow ourselves to be overwhelmed by a surge of psychic energy that may take place in the outer world. As I've suggested many times, let yourself be aware of how to keep yourself shielded and protected of those influences so that you can make the most and highlight the positive of this opportunity, which, as I said, which is high levels of creativity, creative surges. And whenever a new cycle begins, it doesn't mean that once the cycle of influence is passed, that any of those energies wane, if we allow ourselves to really fortify that element and really encode it in our experiences so it stays with us even once the exactness of that alignment is passed. You see the significance with all of this? So again, just be aware of the creative surges. Allow yourself to really pursue anything creative that you desire to. Recognize all the inspiration that comes through. And you know, it's interesting. This alignment, this Venus-Neptune alignment is exact at 2:12 a.m. During the night, especially at that time, that's when spirit is very active. In terms of inspiring us to really recognize what is being shared with us from the spirit realm. Unfortunately, it can also be a time of interferences. However, if we protect ourselves against interferences and just kind of really set the tone for that protection element, then we embrace the positive of the experience. So keep all of this in the back of your mind and really just pursue it all from a place of love. Also, that Venus-Neptune alignment does suggest the onset of spiritual love within our lives. And what I'm emphasizing right now is allowing ourselves to really recognize that element of love within ourselves first. First and foremost, before we can enjoy love in the outside world, we have to first and foremost really instill that element within ourselves. So if that's something that you've been challenged to recognize, use this alignment as a time to really begin to see yourself from a place of love. And once we really do that for ourselves, so many positive changes start to take place in our lives. As with all things, anything we desire to experience in the outside world, first and foremost, needs to be established within ourselves, and then it's just reflected to us in the outside world. Use this time to see yourself from a place of love and observe, once you do that, how you begin to see love in all experiences in the outside world and how love just effortlessly finds you. Now, our next full moon is on April 19th. I just got a little bit ahead of myself here for a minute here. What I want to touch upon is the alignment on April 13th between the Sun and Pluto. Now, that alignment is a square alignment, which is a 90-degree angle between the two. That energy is very creative and dynamic. It indicates prominent change. It can also indicate resistance. Squares suggest and indicate a time of change, prominent change, which fortifies growth as well as creativity. Just when we resist the change, that we interfere with the unfoldment of the process. Now, because Pluto is involved, Pluto is the element, and I've said this many times, the element of empowerment. It's the element of great power. Whenever we are being offered an opportunity to empower ourselves, to know our power, inevitably something will come along in the outside world that will attempt at derailing us. So if you observe anything unfolding in the outside world which may cause you to feel out of control, if you will, see that as an opportunity to know your power. And whenever we emphasize the awareness of our own power, the empowerment of the self, we suggest to always observe it from a place of love and humility. When we engage in power from a place of ego and greed, that's when it doesn't serve a greater purpose, and it can be very, very destructive. So as I said, be aware of what is unfolding in the outside world around April 13th. So it could be a few days leading up to that, a few days after that, where we may observe some unpleasantry in the outside world. And as I said, if it causes you to feel disempowered, see that as an opportunity to empower yourself. Do not discredit the significance of generating love and your intentions in very positive manners towards anything in the outside world. Do not discredit the significance and the power of that intention, especially the power of love and projecting love to anything unsettling which may take place in the outer world. Now, our full moon is on April 19th, and the exact moment of that full moon is 7:13 a.m. Now, our last full moon took place at the early stages of Libra. This full moon, it's also in Libra. However, it's at the late stage of Libra. The full moon in March was at 0 degrees of Libra. This full moon is at 29 degrees of Libra. That 29 degree is a turning point. So it's a time to move forward. It's a time of prominent change. And this full moon does highlight the sector of the chart that connects with our health, well-being. The healthcare debacle may also be prominent in the outside world as well. However, as I've said many times, the human body, our physical form, is capable of healing itself when it is allowed to do so. It's when we interfere with the process through consuming foods that are not necessarily natural, that we do not allow the body to heal itself. So let yourself be aware of, again, that element and the ability for the body to heal itself when it's allowed to do so through natural and holistic modalities. Keep in mind that I'm simplifying much of this information, so I do inspire everyone to explore this for yourself. And as I always say, if what I share with you resonates with you, that is wonderful. And if it does not reverberate with you, it's also magnificent. I share with you what Spirit shares with me, and I inspire you to really explore what works for you. I will share with you what I feel is the most beneficial through these experiences. The bottom line is up to you to really embrace what is best and what resonates for you. We also have Uranus rising at the time of the full moon. Uranus is great change. Sometimes it's chaos. So if you're feeling unsettled, if we're observing, once again, unsettled experiences in the outer world, be in the world and not of it. Allow yourself to observe everything from a distance in a place of detachment. When we allow ourselves to be detached from any event which takes place in the outer world, we allow Spirit the opportunity to share with us the higher insights of the experience, as well as recognizing how all that is happening is playing part of a bigger picture. And the bigger picture is that the all of humanity is elevating to higher levels of consciousness. We're really progressing towards that new age that we've been hearing about so often. So, so many times I'm asked, well, when really will be the age of Aquarius? I mean, nobody really knows for certain. However, by my calculations, I believe to give a time frame, it's about the year 2165. However, it does not mean that we cannot enjoy those humanitarian experiences during our lifetime right now, which we really are, whether we recognize it or not, we really are being given the opportunity to really experience the element of brotherhood and oneness with one another, regardless of what is happening in the outside world. Remember, it has to take place within ourselves first. Once we change within ourselves, then the outside circumstances begin to change. So that change element is very, very prominent. Uranus, as I said, Uranus is rising at the time of the full moon. It has progressed fully into the sign of Taurus. We also do have Taurus rising at the time of the full moon. And I'm just going to touch upon a couple things with this full moon. That on April 20th, the Sun moves into the sign of Taurus, and on April 22nd, the Sun connects in the exact position with Uranus. There's as I referred to earlier, the conjunction aspect, the new moon alignment, when two elements come together that way. On April 22nd, the Sun will be connecting with Uranus in the sign of Taurus. As I said in a prior forecast, Uranus progressing through the sign of Taurus, we are being awakened to the experience of abundance in all things within ourselves. Abundance is our birthright, and I know many times when we think about abundance, we refer to it monetarily. However, abundance, the experience of abundance, applies to all things. I also suggest to recognize how sometimes we miscreate abundance in certain elements like lack, because there can be an abundance in lack as well. So be very aware of where you're directing your thoughts regarding the abundance experience. As the Sun connects with Uranus, that abundance knowing is very much energized, very much fortified. Perhaps see that as the beginning of a cycle of experience where you're allowing yourself to be very receptive to the blessings of abundance in all your experience, the high vibrational blessings of abundance in all your experiences. The Sun, as I said, on April 20th, the Sun moves into the sign of Taurus. Taurus, the sign of abundance. Taurus is the ruler of the second house in the zodiac, which is the house of our income. So perhaps if you would like to fortify your income and how much you're generating, this is the time of year to do that. Taurus also represents our creature comforts, that which we value. What I suggest through this experience is to also not employ the need to have anything in our lives. The moment that we detach ourselves from anything, it's almost like it allows the universe to flood us, which whatever it is that we are detaching from. Many times when we feel a strong need for something, we inadvertently push it away. So if you're choosing to fortify your income, money matters, just detach yourself from it. Doesn't mean that we will do without. It's kind of interesting, as I said, the moment that we let go, that we release the need for anything, it just gives it just offers the universe the opportunity to bring us whatever it is that we are desiring. So once again, I'm spiritualist, psychic, astrologer, and medium Ray Sette. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity to share these experiences with you. As I said, I only touch upon a few things that happened during the course of the month. If I had to touch upon everything, we'd be here for hours of days, not on end. Also, I will be returning to the mystical moon, and my first day meeting with clients is April 25th, and I will continue through to May 8th, meeting with clients. If you'd like to schedule some time with me personally so we can look at all this for you on a more personal level, just reach out to either the Mystical Moon in Bonita or Fort Myers. They'll take care of you. We'll set it all up, and we'll enjoy some wonderful experiences once again together. So thank you for this time. I will see everyone very, very soon. Stay in the light and always in a place of love. Namaste.